So we're in Emmen, Holland, in the first cage fight ever produced in Holland, and this event.
May I introduce to you Rick Anderson. And his opponent Eduardo Rocha. Tim Tabaks. He shall fight against the big German champion Hubert Nummerich. USA, Alan Harris. And the one and only Dutch fighter in this heavy tournament, Willy Peter. The referees are Henk Verschuur, Nico Godot and Jan Lommelder. So your big applause is for these 8 roughest guys of the world. Een luid applaus nog even geven terwijl ze weer op de kooi verlaten. Thank you, gentlemen.
Hello, my name is Rickard Andersson. I'm from Sweden. I practice combat sambo. I'm a Swedish sambo champion. This is my first cage fight and I feel well prepared to see my technique in the cage.
Man and the Swedish champion of sambo wrestling, Rick Anderson.
Hello, my name is Sean McCulley. I'm 23 years old. My style is Thai boxing and jiu-jitsu. I've come here to Holland to win the cage fight tournament.
There he is, the practitioner of Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, the stand-up fighter, the second degree black belt Hapkido, Sean McCulley. Scheidsrechters deze eerste prijs zijn Henk Verschuur en Nico Godoy.
Oké, good luck.
De kooi gaat dicht. En laten we deze twee heren die het spits afbijten in het toernooi even een goed aanmoedigingsapplaus geven.
Bob. Here we go, Bob. Sean McCulley against Rick Anderson. Sean McCulley is a good fighter. Stand up. Good leg kick. Nice takedown by McCulley.
Now this should be where Rick Anderson's got the advantage because he's a grappler. He's a Sambo champion.
Sean McCulley's got them. Looks like he's searching for the mount. He's got it. Rick Anderson has his leg trapped. Sean almost has the mount. Headbutt by Sean McCulley. Almost rolled him.
You see, Sean is keeping his leg inside to prevent Richard Anderson from getting the guard position, Christopher.
I said, oh, nice roll by Anderson. Now, Sean's almost got him in the guard. And he's up again.
Now they're allowed a maximum of 9 minutes on the ground, and a nice takedown by Sean McCulley from America.
He's trying to get him in a...
Richard Anderson now trying to use his legs, trying to get him in a triangle. But Sean McCulley breaks out of it very good. He used his legs to a big advantage that time.
Yeah, it looks like he's really done his homework on the grappling.
Sean McCulley's improved a lot since we saw him in the World Combat, Chris.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks tough. He's got the eye of the tiger.
And this is such a conditioning game. This is going to be the big difference in these two, I think. Ultimately, come down to conditioning.
I can't imagine fighting for 25 minutes, possibly. No rules. Good punch by McCulley.
You know,
going for the leg
this is
lock.
one of the most demanding sports in the world. Unbelievable. No breaks, 25 minutes without a break.
There's a cut. I see some blood, but I'm not sure who it's from.
It looks like Sean McCulley's got a little cut on the inside of his mouth. Nice leg kick by Sean.
A nice punch by Rick Anderson. He's got Sean in what looks like a choke. I don't think it's in.
Now you see Richard Anderson, he's got the arm, and therefore he's not going to be able to put the pressure on the neck, Chris.
I see.
Richard Anderson trying to use the elbow.
Nice knee
and
by
he's throwing
McCulley.
knees into the thigh of Sean McCulley.
Boy, I bet those hurt.
Now, interesting that Richard Anderson chose to wear the gi. Some of the grapplers believe that's a big disadvantage for him. What do you think, Chris?
Well, isn't it sort of like a noose around your neck? If you have a gi, you can get choked on, can't you? Or?
Well, a gi can be very helpful and it can be very hurtful. Obviously, it's just more handles for an opponent that has the knowledge of how to utilize the gi. You can get a lot more arm locks, leg locks, and chokes by utilizing the gi.
Now, what position is that, Bob, that they're in?
Right now, obviously stand-up position, and Sean McCulley, being a Thai boxer, is trying to take advantage of his knees and trying to wear down Richard Anderson and try to put some hurt on him before they go to the ground again, which they're ultimately going to wind up in.
Sean got out of, oh, nice headbutt by McCulley.
You can see that Sean McCulley's improved a lot since the last time we saw him fight.
Oh, he's going for that front choke.
Sean McCulley, with the black shorts, is the smallest opponent in this event and the second youngest. Sean McCulley from America. Richard Anderson, his opponent with the gi top on and the blue knee band, is from Stockholm, Sweden. He's had 13 fights, 11 wins, only 2 losses. He's 23 years old, Richard Anderson, so he's one of the 2 youngest people in this event.
Oh, nice takedown by Richard Anderson.
Richard Anderson, 5'11", 190 pounds, is a little larger than Sean McCulley, who's 180 pounds and 5'9". Now Richard Anderson has a controlling position.
Oh, nice escape by McCulley.
Very nice escape by Sean
Wonderful.
McCulley.
Went out right out the back. God, he has really been doing his homework since the World Combat Championship.
You know, Sean McCulley's showing me that he's a little stronger than Richard Anderson. What do you think, Chris?
I think you're absolutely right. The mount, I hear, is a very hard position to get out of.
Yeah, it's a very superior position for a jiu-jitsu sambo player like Richard Anderson. Richard Anderson's background, he's a Swedish Sambo champion, and I would expect him to have been superior on the ground, but we're not seeing that so far.
Sean McCulley with a nice headbutt.
Sean McCulley from California in the United States has 17 wins, 17 fights, 16 wins, only one loss.
Sean looks a little tired.
Oh, this is such an endurance contest. Going to get down to conditioning and who wants it the worst. Now here, Richard Anderson is wisely using his weight on Sean McCulley. He's making him work very hard, putting all of his weight on top of him.
He keeps going for that front choke, Bob.
Yeah, he obviously likes that front choke, but so far he's been able to do it. Sean McCulley almost gave him his
he's
back
got him in
there.
a choke.
Oh, he's got him in a very dangerous position now. Sean McCulley has got to pull down or he's going to be in deep trouble here. Again, the advantage is he tapped out. Richard Anderson wins the first
Sean
fight.
McCulley tapped out. Well, it was a valiant effort by Sean McCulley. He fought really hard. Sean McCulley fought very hard. He's improved a lot, but it was a hard fight. I know he wanted this fight, but
We'll give both men credit.
yeah,
They came and did everything they knew how to do.
they both fought valiant.
Please both fighters to the center of the cage, of course. Because both made a great fight. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner by staande verwilliging, Rick Anderson. And please.
So Richard Anderson,
round of
very
applause
pleased.
Also for the men, also for the great fight, Sean McCulley.
So Richard Anderson from Sweden, a Swedish Sambo champion and a jiu-jitsu player, wins the first match of the evening.
Я Александр Залузский. Я приехал победить. Я из Минска.
Alexander Zalewski from
He's a
Minsk
career of
in the
7 years
Ukraine.
as a big fighter with an unbelievable record. The former world champion wrestling Greek Roman Alexander Zalewski.
I Eduardo Rocha from Brazil. I came to Holland to win. Thanks.
Sambo champion in Alexander Zalewski and his opponent from Brazil, Eduardo Roja.
And Eduardo Roja is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu trained with the Gracies. So he comes to this game with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at its best. So we should see what happens. These are both very feared guys.
Brazil. The champion from Brazil,
Eduardo Roja, 28 years old, against Alexander Zalewski, who's 36 years old. Eduardo Roja from Fortaleza, Brazil, 132 fights, 132 wins. He's never lost. He's a specialist in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, has his own gym, Roja Jiu-Jitsu, and he's trained by Gomez Oldez. He's 177 centimeters, 5'11 inches tall, 86 kilograms, 190 pounds, a jiu-jitsu expert. And he's been the national champion of Brazil, Rio de Janeiro champion, Sao Paulo champion. So he's a very experienced fighter in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. We've had a lot of experience with the wonderful Machado family from Brazil, who are just brilliant. And they don't believe weight's a factor at all for an experienced jiu-jitsu player. In fact, they invite somebody of any weight. They don't really care. Obviously, Roja is very experienced. I had not met him prior to this event. But if he has the experience that we're seeing here, then it's not going to be a factor at all. Here we go.
Bob.
Second fight of the evening. Alexander Zaluska from Minsk, Ukraine, the larger man with the black pants, and his opponent, Eduardo Roja. They're circling each other. Obviously, they're both grapplers. Zaluski is the world champion in Sambo, so very experienced, has a lot of Greco-Roman wrestling experience, freestyle wrestling. And Eduardo Roja, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu expert. Looked like somebody's mouthpiece went out. One of the two lost the mouthpiece. Now they're in the fence, and obviously
Eduardo Roja is what appears to be in a front choke.
now that Zaluski has him in a very, very difficult hold. He's got Roja in a potentially very dangerous hold, the same hold that we saw the last fight end in. But Roja should be very experienced in getting out of that, although Zaluski's big and strong.
He's got the leg trap for what it looks like will give him extra torque on that neck.
Now Roja wants to get his hand up on the top of the shoulder and be able to take the weight off the back of his neck.
I'm sorry, Bob, I missed that comment.
Alexander Zaluski's got a very, very commanding hold here right now.
Yes, it looks like Eduardo Rocha could be in some trouble. I don't think he's trying to pry his fingers, but it doesn't seem like he's having any luck.
Now Roja's trying to get the weight off of his neck. Whether he's going to be able to do it or not, we're going to have to see.
Oh,
he did it.
He got out of it.
That was amazing, because that is a very difficult hold by an experienced, big, strong grappler. And now he's reversed on
the
Zaluski.
back. Looks like he's definitely got the back on him.
So Eduardo Roja's experience, clearly those 132 fights just paid off in getting out of that, because most fighters would have been finished.
Oh, yes.
Now that's the same hold that we saw Sean McCulley lose in the first round, and here Roja gets out of it. I was very impressed with that, Chris.
Oh yeah, me too, I'm telling you, especially the Russians got those arms, those dynamite arms.
You have to have that hold put on you to understand just how much terrible pressure it puts on your neck.
Oh yeah.
You have to be very calm. And Roja proved he was up to it. I had thought this would be one of the most interesting matchups of the whole evening. Both of these people are very, very experienced fighters. Now clearly Alexander Zaluski does not want his back in the position it's in. He wants to get turned. Roja's making it very, very difficult for him by keeping his head in and keeping clamped around the waist of Alexander Zaluski.
As you see, the Russian's holding on to the fence because he doesn't want to go down. I know he's very afraid of this.
Now clearly Zaluski will believe that he has a better chance standing because of his Sambo experience, and Roja should have a better advantage when he's onto the ground. So he's going to want to get Zaluski down.
Right, of course.
But again, the clock ticking away. These matches can go on for 25 minutes. There are no breaks and virtually no rules. They can't gouge the eyes. They can't bite. But other than that, they're just about allowed to do anything they want.
Yes, and I think, I know that the rules are if two fighters go to the ground, they have 9 minutes to finish the fight. And if they haven't finished the fight in 9 minutes, then they're stood back up again. They can go to the ground as many times within that 25 minutes, but after 9 minutes, they always are stood back up. Now, this is very interesting. I don't know how do you think, Bob, he's going to get him down?
Well, clearly he's got to get him away. Right now Zaluski is using his superior height to hold on. He doesn't want to go to the ground. Of course, the crowd is unhappy about it. But Roja's ultimately got to take control of Alexander Zaluski's legs if he's ever going to get him away from the ring. The first cage fight ever put on in Holland.
What a reverse by Alexander Zaluski.
And again, Zaluski is able to reverse out of that.
It looks like he's going for a throw. I saw this man suplex people before, and it looks like he's working for that.
I understand he's got a vicious suplex.
Vicious, Bob. nightmarish suplex.
And these are two strong men.
Almost got
Eduardo
him.
Roja with the white shorts, and his opponent Alexander Zaleski, 36 years old from Minsk, Ukraine, the world Sambo champion, against Eduardo Roja, the national jiu-jitsu champion of Brazil. Obviously, to some of the people that are not familiar with the grappling, there's some of this, you know, they wonder why it doesn't just get on to a finish. But, Roja trying to take him to the ground.
Very smart.
And Alexander Zaleski saying, I'll have none of that. He doesn't want to go to the ground with Roja. Smart of Zaleski, because he's got to realize that Roja feels his best chance is to have him on the ground.
I would say definitely yes.
One of the marks of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stylists is they like ground fighting. They believe they're like a shark underwater. They're very in control when they're on the ground. So their opponents believe the best opportunity they have to defeat them is to keep them on their feet as long as possible. And clearly that's Zaleski's strategy in this fight.
Yes, I would say he's done a little bit of homework on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They're clinching.
Alexander Zaleski, 192 centimeters. He's 6'5" tall. So he's a clear 6 inches taller than his opponent, Eduardo Roja, who's 177 centimeters, 5'11". Roja, 190 pounds, 86 kilos. And Zaleski, 111 kilograms, 244 pounds. A big weight difference. Zaleski certainly used his weight to advantage in the stand-up game, Chris.
I would definitely say so. He keeps pushing Eduardo Roja's head down. That must get very tiresome on the neck.
Yeah, it's very clever of Zaleski because he's got to be thinking he's using a lot of Roja's energy. Again.
He's got him again in the front
Roja
choke.
gave him that head again. That's, that could ultimately become a fatal mistake.
I think it could be his undoing.
You know, Roja was so determined to go for that leg, then he forgot his head there. But the first time, Alexander Zaleski could not cash it in. The question is, will he be able to do it the second time?
That is the cup. He got out of it
He's
again.
out of it
Roja got
again.
out. Good job by Eduardo Roja. The crowd seems to be going a little wild here.
Again, Zaleski is going for that headlock.
He's got him up against the fence.
And Roja's going down. Again, that takes the pressure off the neck. And obviously his objective is to try to tie up those legs, big, strong legs of Alexander Zaleski's, and get him down to where he's more comfortable, on the mat.
He's got him pinned up against the fence, but I'm not sure if he has a choke.
Nope, he doesn't have that head. But Zaleski doesn't want any part of going down.
He keeps pushing him down.
Again, Zaleski's got the headlock again.
Can he get his way? Can he get out of this one?
Yeah, Roja has got his hand on Zaleski's hips, trying to keep the pressure off the back of his neck. But he's not been able to find a way to keep his head out of Zaleski's big arms. Again, Zaleski gave up on that one. I guess he felt he didn't have it cinched in.
You know, Bob, I'm surprised that there's been no punches thrown or no knees in those clinches. You would think that someone would throw a knee.
But again, that's not something that either one of these fighters are particularly comfortable with, nor are they well trained in.
Yeah,
so they're staying with what they know.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
And so far, Zaleski has made Roja fight his fight.
You know, in a fight like this, would you shoot low to the legs?
Absolutely. I'm surprised that Roja hasn't tried to shoot to take the legs out, because clearly Zaleski has a superior upper body strength, and stand-up is his game. So he's very cleverly controlling this game, making Roja fight his fight, and that's always smart. Anytime you want to win a fight, you make the other fighter fight your fight.
Yeah, it seems like Zaleski is maybe tiring him out on his feet, and then maybe a little later on we'll take him to the ground and try to get him when he's tired on the ground with maybe a heel hold or an arm lock or a choke or something.
Now, I'm surprised with most of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stylists that we've watched, they try to shoot immediately and take control of the legs. Now, that's something Roja hasn't done. Maybe that's not his forte.
Could it be that he's maybe afraid to try to tackle a guy with such a big body and such a big base? So, maybe he feels he can't take him down with a leg shoot.
Well, clearly we haven't seen it, but it is a mark of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stylists that I've seen, the Machados, the Gracies. Renzo Gracie was brilliant in the World Combat Championships using that shooting in leg control.
Yes, he took down James Waring almost like he surfed across the mat and pulled his heels out.
Again, of course, Waring didn't have the grappling skills, but I think that would serve Roja very well, that ability to shoot in and take those legs out. Eduardo Roja with the white shorts from Fortaleza, Brazil. The national Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, smaller of the two men, but 132 fights, 132 wins. Roja has never lost. He hasn't learned how to lose yet.
Almost a leg lock.
Alexander Zaleski was trying for a leg lock.
Yes.
The crowd not liking that they're not following it up. But again, they're here to win the money.
That's it. So
Whatever wins.
They're playing their game. It's definitely a chess match tonight.
Well, conditioning is clearly going to be one of the key points in this match, of course in all the matches, but particularly with this kind of grappling. These fighters have to be in unbelievable shape to go this long.
Oh, are you kidding me? Jesus. I get tired running 5 minutes. Can't imagine fighting for 25 minutes.
I'm also a little surprised that Roja hasn't used his legs to better advantage. Now, he's starting to use his legs a little bit now on Zaleski, but I would have expected to see him trying to grapevine the legs of Zaleski. He's not attacking the legs, and I'm curious why not, what his strategy is. Alexander Zaleski using the ring, the cage, to his advantage. Keeping Roja pinned against it. Now Roja's trying to use his legs a little.
So they're just sort of stalemated against the fence. Do you think they're resting?
Well,
Are
again,
they
what
working
you've
for
got is
something?
two fairly even grapplers, and one is kind of controlling the fight. Alexander Zaleski, of course, keeping it in the stand-up arena. So clearly that's not Roja's strong suit. But he's apparently, so far, he's been strong enough, skilled enough to be able to keep Zaleski from a finishing hold. Alexander Zaleski, 145 fights, 125 wins. Greco-Roman wrestler, freestyle wrestler, and former world champion in Sambo, which is similar to judo, but a very, very rugged sport. Roja inviting Zaleski to come to the ground with him, and Zaleski's having none of it.
Well, this is definitely a...
Again, I'm surprised that Roja didn't shoot in from there with Zaleski standing so close to him. It seems to me it would have been a great opportunity for him to shoot those legs. It's just apparently something Roja doesn't do well or he's not comfortable with.
He seems to be working at Eduardo Roja's neck to the side.
Zaleski looks like he's the fresher of the two.
Yeah, he sure does. He's got kind of a smirk on his face. Oh, he's got him in the front
Back
choke.
to the headlock
Oh, back
again.
to the headlock. Second there, I thought.
But Roja finding out that he can drop down on it with all the sweat, making it very difficult for Zaleski to be able to sink it in good enough to be able to get him to tap out.
Now it looks, it looks like he has his hand.
Zaleski's got his arm underneath, but he does not have it under the chin.
Right, so
But he's putting a lot of weight from his shoulders on the back of Eduardo Roja's neck. Roja's got a big neck, a very strong guy. I think a lesser neck would have tapped out before with this.
Is that called a neck crank, Bob?
Yes, it is.
So he's got a neck crank on him. Now he's gone to his knees. You don't see many jiu-jitsu guys there.
And again, Roja is giving him his back. That's
Which-
kind of unusual.
Yes.
That's something that the Brazilian jiu-jitsu people rarely ever do, and they always will say, never, never give your back. So I'm a little surprised here.
Yes, me too. Maybe that's not a good sign for Eduardo Roja. Maybe he has an alternative strategy. But if you ask me, it seems like he's getting very tired.
You know, Chris, we discussed about whether the weight would be an advantage, and clearly in the past we've not seen it be an advantage, but I think Alexander Zaleski is using his weight brilliantly.
Yeah, he sure
Even
is.
here now that he's on the ground, not an arena, not a place that Zaleski wants to be, he's simply burying his weight on top of Roja and keeping the pressure on that neck crank. He obviously doesn't have it very good. See, now he's driving his weight in to Roja.
And putting pressure on the shoulder and the neck.
Yes.
Yes.
But right now, see, Roja's having to use his legs to try to keep the pressure off. Zaleski is fighting a brilliant fight. Very clever.
He won't go to the ground with this guy. Very interesting.
Again, I'm surprised. Roja keeps that head low.
He sure does, and you'd think he would have learned by now not to do that.
Alexander Zaleski from Minsk, Russia, Ukraine, in the former Russia. In the black, the taller of the two men, and his opponent, Eduardo Roja from Brazil. Well, if you give anybody credit for strategy, clearly Alexander Zaleski came with a strategy, and he's staying with his fight plan. It's working for him. And if this were to continue for the full 25 minutes, I'd have to have Zaleski winning. How do you see it, Chris?
You know, Bob, I would have to agree with you totally. I think that Zaleski has been the more aggressive of the two. Even though there hasn't been much action, I think that Zaleski has been trying for more. And I think he definitely has much more of a game plan, it would seem. So I would have to agree. I think if it comes down to a draw at the time, I think Zaleski will prove victorious.
Excellent condition on both of these fighters. It's amazing.
Both fighters tying up. Wonder what could be going through the Brazilian's head right now. Wonder if he's thinking of time. Oh, there they are in the fence again. If I was Eduardo Roja, I would be thinking, well, it's gone this long. I better shoot the legs or do something. I'd take some drastic measure.
Well, clearly, Eduardo Roja's got to change his plan, or he's going to have the first loss on his record. So, you know, he can't have won that many fights and not have the ability to change a fight plan that, for him, so far is not working.
I'd throw a punch or something, don't you think? Even though it's not his style, maybe an elbow or a headbutt or something.
Well, I'm just amazed in these spots that he is not going for the legs. Clearly, in my opinion, Roja's strategy has got to include taking the legs out from Zaleski, because once he's on the ground, Roja then can use at least what his best weapons are, which is the grappling skills he's gained on the mat.
Well, hopefully he'll be thinking the same way you are.
Well, Zaleski doesn't want him to. I think Alexander Zaleski's very happy with the way it's going, although he'd like a finishing hold just on pure strategy and aggressiveness. Zaleski's on his way to a win unless something changes dramatically. It'd be a sad way to see Roja lose his first fight.
Yeah, it sure would.
But he's in with a very, very tough guy. I felt when I looked at the list of fighters that these would be two of the toughest fighters in the event.
Yeah, I would agree.
Again, when you get two great grapplers, they kind of neutralize their skills. And clearly we have an excellent, excellent grappler here in Alexander Zaleski from the Ukraine with 145 fights, the most experienced fighter in the whole event. Our second fight of the evening in the first cage fight. Eamon Holland.
You know, Bob, I would think that cross-training is such an important factor now in the martial arts, being able to punch, kick, throw, grapple. You know, I'm surprised that Eduardo Roja hasn't thrown a punch, or even Alexander Zaleski, I'm surprised he hasn't thrown a knee, because I know both fighters have been cross-training. But I guess when the pressure's on, you just kind of go back to your base.
Yeah, it's clear that neither one of them are comfortable with punching or kicking.
Thanks.
Now it sounds like the time is up.
I guess that's the
So
time.
It's going to go to the referee. It's going to go to the judges. The crowd's not happy. They don't want to see a 25-minute.
Hier is scheidsrechters opnieuw de winnaar bekend te maken. Faces to the direction, please. Jongens, op krijg je misschien een tiebox meteen. Dan krijg je lekker in snelle acties. Dus er komt nog een heleboel.
Well, I guess it's going to come down to a judge's decision. The judges base their decision on who was more aggressive, who threw more punches, who tried more to do submission. So I guess they gave it to the Brazilian fighter. Well, Bob,
What? What was that? I missed that.
they gave it to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter.
But
Well, you know what? I don't know, Bob. What do you think?
I'm very surprised at that decision, Chris.
Hello, I'm Alan Harris. I'm a 23-year-old fighter out of Dalton, Massachusetts of the U.S. I practice Newaza, which is a blend of martial arts that incorporates kicking, punching, grappling, several forms of submission holds. I've been training for about 7 years and training about a year exclusively for this fight, and in the end, I plan on standing victorious in the cage.
Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from the USA with 23 fights, 70 wins, 6 losses, 9 knockouts. This is Alan Harris.
I'm Willie Peters. I'm the Dutch competitor in this cage fight. My style is free fight.
And ladies and gentlemen, there he is, the only Dutch fighter in the tournament.
No, Willie Peters, the only Dutch fighter in the event. 30 years old, Willie Peters. He's from Arnhem, Holland. He has 23 wins, 23 fights, 17 wins, 6 losses. He's 180 centimeters, 6 feet tall, 95 kilograms. He's 209 pounds, and he's done kickboxing, wrestling, and he's a 12-time Dutch wrestling champion. So that's Willie Peters in his home country of Holland. And his opponent, Alan Harris, 23 years old. He is 174 centimeters, 5'10", and they begin 202 pounds. And they're starting fast, Chris.
Wow. Big right hand by Willie Peters. Alan Harris trying to get the takedown.
So Alan Harris in the red, in the black, is a grappler. He wants to go to the ground.
Alan Harris has
And he's
Willie
getting
Peters
his
in the
opportunity.
guard. Boy, they started fast. Alan's got Willie Peters in the guard.
And the crowd very much cheering on Willie Peters. They want their hometown favorite. They want their countrymen to win this fight. And the first cage
I think
fight
Willie
ever.
Peters has Alan in a choke or something. Oh no, maybe not. I thought he did. He's got him in a. Oh, he's trying to He's trying to choke him with his hand.
And Willie Peters doing a headbutt. Trying to punch him. Oh, and he
Big
got
shot.
him good in the mouth a couple of times. Willie Peters, a very aggressive fighter,
And Alan
as you can
Harris,
see.
Oh, goes for a leg.
And now
Willie
he's trying
Peters-
for the neck crank, but Alan Harris out of it. Now this should be Alan Harris's strong suit, being on the ground, since he's a grappler.
Ooh, big shot by Willie Peters. Another big shot.
The kind of action that these people came to see. They want to see aggressive fighting. They're getting it.
Ooh, another shot.
Well, it looked to me like Peters hurt him. And it's over. Willie Peters has won.
Oh, big cut over Alan Harris's eye.
In 3 minutes, Willie Peters has won the third fight of the evening with a very aggressive strategy and a punch that cut the eye, the big cut under the eye of Alan Harris.
De winnaar of de round, Willie Peters. Mag ik ook jullie applaus voor de man die er ook kijkt voor je gevolg.
Now, Chris, you don't see that often. A fight, in this kind of a fight, winning on the ground with a punch.
Hi, I'm Tim Tubax, 24 years old from Belgium. I'm competing in this competition with kickboxing and shoot wrestling, and I'm very excited to participate in this cage fight tournament.
Actually, Bob, I think, is this Hubert Numeric? Yes. Actually, Bob, this is Tim Tabux, the Belgium wrestler. This is Tim Tabux, the Belgium wrestler, 24, from Belgium, 105 fights, 85 wins, 20 lost, with 44 wins by KO, 6 feet 6 inches, 200 pounds.
Hi, my name is Hubert Numrich. I'm from Germany. I'm 36 years old and I'm competing in this cage fight. I hope to win and I'll see. Thank you.
The largest man, the oldest man, 37 years old, 6'7", 198 centimeters, 125 kilograms, 275 pounds. That's a big man.
Yes, that is, Bob. That's a very big man.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 8 times champion of Germany, the European champion, and 4 times the number 2 of the world, Hubert Numeric.
You know, Bob, Hubert Numeric, for being such a tough guy and such a big guy, he's actually very sweet, very personable, and very kind to people, very considerate. I enjoyed meeting him very much, so this should be interesting to see if he can turn on that kill, you know, never say die spirit here.
Yep, Hubert Numeric from Germany, 6'7", 198 centimeters, 125 kilograms, 275 pounds. He's a kickboxer, and one of the good ones.
Nice kick
and
by Tim
Tubax from Belgium. He's also a kickboxer, a Thai boxer, and a wrestler.
Oh!
Down to the ground they go.
By Tim Tabux. Punch by Hubert Numeric. Up, and Hubert Numeric rolls him over and is punching him in the face.
Now this should be where Tubax has the advantage. It's clearly where Numeric doesn't want to be.
Well, he's got his head pinned. A vicious headlock. Looks like he's trying to roll to Hubert's back. Oh, he's got him in a neck crank and he's gone. He's out.
And Hubert Numeric has won it with a neck crank. And he's very pleased with himself. That's not where he was considered dangerous on the ground, but that superior size and strength paid off for him. Did he headbutt him, or how did he get that eye?
I think Tim Tabux is saying that he got his eye poked. He's saying that Hubert Numeric pushed his finger into his eye.
So Hubert Numeric. Hubert Numeric, winner in 1 minute with a neck crank. And Tim Tubax from Belgium, not pleased. Tim Tubax, 196 centimeters, one of the 3 largest men in this event, but only 200 pounds.
But a very skilled and exciting athlete. I mean, I thought he had Hubert for a second there.
You know, I saw that pigtail, and I said, boy, that's a big disadvantage, but he didn't seem to bother him.
Vanwege het steken van de vinger in het oog. Daarom ben ik de tijd af en gaan we nu verder. Hij krijgt hier voor 1000 voor de boete.
Oh, it looks like they're going to restart the fight, I think. Yes. I think because
Numrich not happy. They're restarting the fight, but they haven't explained to us why.
because I think it was the thumb in the eye by Numrich to Tabaks.
Numrich very upset. And it looks like the referee's going to restart it anyway.
Numrich is saying he's not going to fight if he has to restart this fight. Well, it looks like they're having a major discussion about whether they should restart or not.
Numrich very upset. He feels like he's already won it. Doesn't understand it, but they're clearly going to restart it.
I guess they've decided to go.
So Tim Tubaks with the white pants and the black flame shorts. They're restarting the fight after 1 minute.
Oh, vicious leg kick. Tim Tubaks is he's very angry.
Well, Tubak came out smoking. He knows he's got to turn it on.
Well, they're up against the fence.
Tubak, Thai boxing.
Oh, vicious elbow. Oh. Hubert Numrich took him out with a groin shot. Perfectly legal in this type of event. It's finished. Wow, that was the most vicious knee I've seen. I hope he has a cup on. I'm sure he does.
Well, that time,
Hubert Numrich the winner.
the crowd booing, but Numrich did what he wanted to do.
Ook graag hier applaus voor de man die er ook voor het woord heeft, Tim Tubaks.
Well, Tim Tubaks, he had the fire, but I guess he couldn't pull it off with such a big guy. But he definitely was hot and had a lot of moves.
So Hubert Numrich looked like an elbow to me.
Oh, is that what it was? I think it was a knee and then an elbow over the
Kneed
top.
him and then elbowed him in the head afterwards.
Yeah.
En na de pauze zien we graag terug voor de halve finales. Tot zo. Tot na de pauze.
So we have a really interesting semifinal coming up.
En de man die de eerste meteen John McCurry versloeg uit Zweden, 24 jaar oud, tegen Remco Pardoel. En de Zweedse kampioen samboworstelen Rick Andersen. The man who has beaten John McCurry in his first fight here tonight, the champion of Sweden, Rick Andersen. He's unbeaten after 132 fights with 52 knockouts on his name, Eduardo "The Rock" Rocha.
Here we go with the first fight of the semifinals. Well, now you wonder, Chris, how much this 25-minute decision win that Roja had will take out of him for this semifinal match with Richard Anderson.
Here we go.
We'll find out. Richard Anderson with the black shorts from Sweden, a winner by tap out, headlock, and he tries a leg kick
Nice leg kick by Richard Anderson.
on Eduardo Roja in the white from Brazil. Now he does his shoot in, which we thought he should have done with Zaleski.
And he's got him in a choke. He's got him in a front choke.
He's got him in a good head choke, but this should be easy for Roja. Richard Anderson on the ground. Richard Anderson.
Eduardo Roja is prying Richard Anderson's leg to get some leverage off that neck.
These men are very, almost identical in sizes. 178, 177 kilos, 190 pounds, both 5'11", so they're very similar in size. Richard Anderson has Thai boxing experience with Fred Royers, and also he's the Swedish Sambo champion, so he has grappling experience. Eduardo Roja, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion, national champion.
Now, would you, Eduardo Roja, that's called passing the guard when he comes out between his legs.
And that's exactly what he's just done, Chris. You're absolutely right. He passed the guard, and now he's got the side straddle position, which is a very superior position for a jiu-jitsu wrestler.
Blood on the leg of Richard Anderson, but I'm not really sure who it's from.
Now, with a cross guard, he's come full circle. Now he's in the mount position, and that's one of the strongest positions you can get in jiu-jitsu. From here, he can headlock, neck crank, he can punch. He's hitting him with the elbow.
There was a tap out. Richard Anderson tapped out. I guess
And that's it. Richard Anderson tapped out.
That was a quick one.
1 minute, 45 seconds. Eduardo Roja advances to the finals. Eduardo Roja came into this event with 132 wins. He's now 134 wins and no losses. And Richard Anderson did an outstanding job in his first win, winning by a tap out, but Eduardo Roja from Brazil was just a bit too much for him.
He showed some real good talent. I think, with some more years in the jiu-jitsu, I think he could be a real competitor someday. I mean, I think he is one now, but compared to the Brazilians, they've got a long way to go. See the punches and the slow-mo and the tap out. Richard Anderson could not take the blows from Eduardo Roja. Eduardo Roja advances to the finals.
And he was taking a lot of punishment, Chris.
De achterhouder kampioen van Duitsland, Europees kampioen, 4 keer de nummer 2 van de wereld, Hubert Numeri.
Well, Willie Peters was very impressive in his first fight. So we'll see how he can handle the size and the power, because he's fighting the largest man in this event in Hubert Numeri from Germany, who is 198 centimeters or 6 foot 7 inches tall. He's a big, big man, 125 kilograms, 275 pounds, Chris. So Willie Peters is going to be giving up a lot of height and a lot of weight.
You gotta hope that Willie Peters has got a big punch, because I don't want to go to the ground with this guy. This is a big man. Bob, I'm surprised that nobody hasn't, that one of the fighters or anybody hasn't grabbed a hold of those long ponytails on Hubert Numeric's head. You would think someone would be able to choke Mr. Numeric with those ponytails.
Here's our semifinal match. So, Hubert Numeric in the ring, and his opponent from Holland, Willie Peters. He's a 12-time Dutch wrestling champion and a kickboxer.
Willie Peters looks ready to fight.
The 12-time Dutch champion in wrestling.
And you can see Willie Peters with the red wrestling shorts, fired up.
Yeah, he sure does. He's got that eye, the eye of the tiger.
Well, and Willie Peters has certainly got the crowd on his side. He's here. We're here in Emmen, Holland, and this is his home country. Oh, he wants it bad for himself. He wants it bad for his country.
The crowd is going crazy, Bob.
He's in the semifinals. Willie Peters has only got one match to go to get into the finals and the big money. But it's more than money for these guys. They want it big. They're competitors. It should be a very interesting match. Basically, you've got an excellent kickboxer in Hubert Numeri. Certainly not much of a grappler or not a lot of grappling experience, although he won with his grappling skills in the last fight.
Sure did. He used his weight very well. All right. Getting ready. The hometown.
Willie Peters in the red and Hubert Numrich in the black, the larger of the two men. And here we go, semifinals.
Oh, nice right hand by Willie Peters. Oh,
and Peters right away wants to take him down.
oh, nice knee by Numrich.
Easier said than done for a man that size.
Oh, nice palms to the ear by Numrich. To Willie Peters. Oh,
Peters trying to headbutt back. Not intimidated by the size or the strength of Hubert Numrich.
oh.
And Numrich kneeing him. Oh! That's something Billy Peters doesn't want to get himself disqualified.
Oh, here they go again.
A lot of emotion in this
A lot
one.
of craziness. The crowd's definitely was for Willie. Nice jab by Hubert. Whoa! Oh!
We heard him with that leg kick.
Brutal leg kick. Oh, nice headbutt by Willie Peters. They're tying up. I think he's going to try to throw him.
Well, a lot of fire in Billy Peters.
Oh, boy. Boy, the crowd is sure behind Willie Peters.
The crowd chanting, Billy, Billy. They want their man to win.
Numrich has him sort of in a bear hug. He's got him by the ear. Oh, nice knee by Billy Peters. Oh, brutal headbutt. Oh, got the throw by Willie Peters. Took Numrich down.
2 minutes and they're on the ground, and that's Billy Peters' area. He's getting in the mounting position.
Oh, he's got his.
Oh, he's got a hold of that pigtail.
Oh, yeah. I called that earlier. I wondered why nobody. Oh, brutal shot by Willie Peters.
It's all over. Billy Peters has got himself into the semifinals.
Well, there's a lot of blood, but I guess the crowd's happy. Well, they're very happy. Their homeboy won. Their main man.
Again, the sportsman coming out. There was a lot of fire in there, but both men shaking hands. But Billy Peters has got himself in the finals of this first cage fight in the history of Holland.
The first semi-no rules, bare knuckle. You see Willie Peters there trying to strangle Numrich, punch by Numrich. Willie's got his hair. He's pulling his head back, pulling Numrich's head back. Willie's got a hold of the hair, and Willie fires a right, and a big one, I think that connects right there, right against the temple. Numrich is signaling, no thank you. There's a big headbutt, and it's over. The tap out by Numrich. And you can see Willie Peters going crazy. Well, the hometown favorite is going into the championship.
Numrich showing him he's still got condition left, and he's a valiant fighter.
If an opponent gets hit without able to defend himself, the referee stops the fight.
The producers of this first cage fight are Boss Boone, Hank Capers, and Dirk Winkel. Have put a lot of work into getting this cage fight on, the first one ever in Holland.
So we have a pretty interesting champion fight. Eduardo Roja from Fortaleza, Brazil, and Billy Peters from Amsterdam, Holland. What do you think? What's your call, Bob?
Well, I'm looking for an exciting fight. I'll tell you, I think Peters' fight's got to be standing up, and Rojas is obviously on the ground. It's going to depend on who does that better. Roja is an incredibly experienced fighter. Obviously now 134 wins, no losses. He doesn't know how to lose. But Billy Peters has shown me a fire that no other fighter has shown me in this event.
He definitely came to fight. You can see that in his eyes.
Willie Peters is 180 centimeters or 6 feet tall, and his opponent, Eduardo Roja, 177 centimeters at 5'11". The weight is similar, although that edge goes to Willie Peters. He's 95 kilos, 209 pounds, and Roja 190 pounds. So, and obviously, Willie Peters is a 12-time Dutch wrestling champion. So he's going to have the wrestling experience. He's shown us he can punch and kick. So this should be a very interesting matchup.
And Eduardo Rojas still has his considerate side while he picks up a magazine and throws it out of the ring. Boy, this crowd is really for Willie Peters. Here we see Willie Peters walking in, the Dutch flag, the crowd going crazy. This should be a good fight.
And there he is, the 12-time Dutch champion in his last final match. And let's give all the support you can. Willie Peters!
So Willie Peters from Holland in the red, in the finals. 12-time Dutch wrestling champion, kickboxer, free fighter, and the bigger of the two men. And here we go for all the money. Peters starts off just as he has before, punching and kicking.
Ooh, nice kick to the knee by Peters.
Rojas shoots in, wants to take him down.
Well, looks like he's preparing to knee him. Oh. Oh, nice hit to the head by Willie Peters, Eduardo Roja. Nice leg kick by Willie Peters to Eduardo Roja. Oh. Oh, and they go to the ring.
Gate. That's one of the few things that can stop that clock.
Oh, yeah. Willie Peters does not look happy about that.
Well, Rojas certainly had his rush on that time.
Nice leg kick by Willie Peters.
Oh, Rojas
nice
tries to kick
uppercut.
at his own.
Oh, a little face by Rojas.
Rojas
Peters
sticking his tongue out.
saying that didn't hurt me.
1 minute gone in the fight.
Nice uppercut.
A lot of action for 1 minute.
There they go, down to the ground.
Now Rojas on the ground, right where he says he wants to be. And Peters, no stranger to the ground. Rojas using his legs very effectively so far.
Oh, nice shot by Peters to the chin of Rojas. Oh, another one.
Peters is connected pretty well over that chin right now.
Another shot. Oh, another shot, and another one. And that's it, the Brazilian tapped out. Willie Peters is the champion. Eduardo Rojas could not take those punches. The Dutch are going crazy. Well, this is a first, my
1
friend.
minute and 50 seconds, and Willie Peters is the first man ever to defeat Eduardo Rojas. 1 minute and 50 seconds, he becomes the first cage fighting champion, and in his own homeland. All credit to Willie Peters.
There's a slow-mo. Well, there we see Eduardo Rojas lying on the ground, knocked out, semi-conscious on the ground, and there's Willie Peters giving thank yous to the crowd. It's a very good fight. And there you have it. History. History in the making. The champion is Willie Peters. Free fighting from Holland.
Graag jullie applaus ook voor de man die de finale heeft gehaald. Eduardo de Rock Roja. En natuurlijk gaat er een check van zo'n 20.000 Amerikaanse dollars ook naar Willy Peters en Eduardo.
So, Bob, it's been a very exciting night. I never thought I'd see this, a Brazilian tapping out from punches, but it's always a first.
Well, the fans came for action and they got it.
It's been a great night here in Emmen, Holland. The first ever European cage fight, semi-no rules, bare knuckle fight. 8-man enter, 1-man leads. And Willie Peters, the first European fighter, the first fighter ever to defeat a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter with punches or anything. So this is a first, this is history. Well, Bob, it's been very interesting for me. I've enjoyed this very much. And
Well, all credit to these athletes because, you know, they have to do so much training in so many different arts. And I know that Willie Peters, there's his trainer, just to the right over there, Fred Royers, the great former
Bob,
Thai boxing champion.
Let's take a look at the slow-mo. We see Eduardo Roja having him in the guard, yes? And Willie Peters just delivering punches.
Yeah, Roja was just never able to get a defense going against the determination, if you will, of Willie Peters, and he was there. See, he was hitting him pretty hard on the jaw there.
I think it just shook Roja to his core, and I think he gave up, So obviously he gave up. I guess his chin was not as strong as we thought, and there you have a first one.
Well, we've got to give all the credit in the world to Willie Peters and his trainers for coming through. The first man ever to defeat Eduardo Roja, 134 victories, no defeats, and Willie Peters handed him his first loss. So we're in Emmen, Holland, in the first cage fight ever produced in Holland, and this event was won by a Dutchman, so it's appropriate that we've been able to bring you this from Emmen, Holland, with a Dutch winner, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of spellbound right now. I mean, I never thought I would see that, Bob. I never thought that I would see a Brazilian give up like that, but, I have to also take my hat off to Eduardo Roja. What a great athlete. What a tough fighter. And he put up a good fight, and tonight the better man won.
Absolutely, and I give all the credit in the world to all of these fighters, Chris, because it takes a lot of guts to step in the ring. It's very easy to sit on the outside and criticize their performance, but in the end, all 8 of these fighters deserve a lot of credit. They stepped in there. It's a new sport, and clearly the best man won tonight, and it was Willie Peters of Holland.
Absolutely. I'd just like to take 1 minute and recap all the different fighters and just send out my best to Rick Anderson, great fighter. Sean McCulley, brilliant fighter. Great training. He looked awesome. We'll see him next time. Alexander Zaleski, Bob. What do you think about that guy? Tough guy.
Absolutely, no question. We saw a lot of great fighters. Richard Anderson from Sweden getting into the semifinals against Roja and then losing a heartbreaker. Hubert Numeric going against Willie Peters, and again, a very tough guy, Hubert Numeric, but tonight Willie Peters wanted it bad, and he went all the way.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you got a lot of tough guys in here tonight.
Yeah. Tim Tobex, great fighter. Hubert Numeric, great fighter from Germany. Alan Harris, great fighter. And obviously Willie Peters, the champion tonight.
Yeah, Alan Harris, I know he felt that they shouldn't have stopped the fight, and we'll have to go back and look at that again, but he felt he could have continued.
Yeah.
But again, it's going to have to be another night. Tonight, it was Willie Peters' night.
Absolutely. It was his night. He's the man. So I guess it's Christopher Peters and my friend Bob Wall, and we'll see you next time.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Bob Wall and Christopher Peters from Emmen, Holland, and the first cage fight ever. And we want to say to you, Huda Avud. My best attempt at Dutch saying good evening.